My name's Alex Fishburn. I'm the Director of Music here at All Saints in Cheltenham. The organ was built by William Hill, the famous London firm, in 1887, installed here in the church in June 1887. Over the years, it's been added to and changed a little bit. Just after the turn of the century in 1901, a few stops were added, some of which came from Worcester Cathedral, and in the 1920s, further changes were made. By the 1950s, the organ had grown to 4 manuals, and by that time it had gained the chancel grate in the case you can see behind me, meaning the instrument we have today of around 60 stops, 4 manuals and pedal, far grander than you'd expect in a parish church like this. The organ fulfills a variety of roles, and the design of the organ reflects that. At its core, it's very much a romantic Victorian instrument, lots of big diapasons and flutes and chorus reeds, not much in the way of upper work like we might associate with organs built in the 1960s and 70s. Those sounds both allow us to provide a strong lead for hymn singing and also give us a variety of colours for accompanying the choir. We have a strong choir here at All Saints, so we have stops like clarinets and flutes and oboes, which allow us to colour things like psalm singing and the music of Howells, Stanford, that kind of thing. The organ is looking a little bit tired. Most of the core parts of the organ, the soundboards on which the pipes stand, the wind system and the controls for these various parts of the organ haven't really changed at all since they were installed in the 1880s. Some of the mechanisms have been updated, the original actions have been converted to a semi-electronic type, including a new console which was installed in the 1950s. But when you go inside, you realise that a lot of this stuff is still as it was built, and it's all a bit worn out. Much of the organ contains leatherwork, some of which is still original to the 1880s, and there are rather big holes everywhere, some of which patched up with duct tape. When we're using the organ, the problems associated with its age do present a bit of a headache for the player. Occasionally we have notes on the pedal organ that don't work at all, mainly due to issues with leatherwork. We also have occasions where stops don't come on when you pull them at the console, the bit inside doesn't do its part. Also we have problems with the piston system on the organ. These are the small buttons under the keyboards I can press. The electronic side of that is not as responsive as it was. This means that sudden changes in character in an anthem, for example, when I'm accompanying the choir, it can be difficult to adapt on the organ as quickly as I'd like. And we never quite know if it's going to behave all the way through a service. One of the biggest issues is actually with the blowing plant that supplies the wind to the organ. Because this isn't running very efficiently and there are leaks everywhere. You have to be careful that you don't have too many stops on at once, or everything gets a bit starved of air, and the congregation down in the church hear the organ, the pitch sagging a little bit, so one has to bear that in mind when you're playing. All of these things mean that it becomes harder and harder to focus on the music, because you're focused more on making sure that you coax the organ through the service. Ideally, we need to take the whole organ out of the church, out of the chamber, and mechanically start again. A lot of the parts of the organ have just reached the end of their lives. We need to really start again with new wind system, replace or refurbish the blower, restore the soundboards. All the pipes are very dirty, they need to be cleaned, and a lot of them are not quite speaking properly. They need attention by specialist voicing staff before they can be reinstalled in the church. Of course, this is one of various options. It may be that upon close inspection of some parts, it's determined that they can be economically restored, which would be nice to do. The organ is an integral part of the church, and if we can, we want to avoid removing something that is part of the church's history. It's very tempting to say, we have all these problems, we'll just get an electronic. It's a testament to how well built this organ is, that it's lasted 150 years and is still going with so little attention. We don't want to be in a situation where in another 20 years' time we have the next generation who have to look after the church are looking at another bill of 20, 30,000. This will go on forever. What we need to do is look at it as an important asset that the church has, that we need to think about long-term financially. Of course, that presents us with a huge financial bill. You know, we could be looking at between £250,000 and £500,000 to carry out this work. But we want the organ to become part of the community and not just something that accompanies the choir. We want to be able to have an instrument we can rely on to teach, to educate young people about the organ, that we can allow people to come and use to practice on, to teach on. And we can't do that unless we have a reliable instrument. One of the ways we would like to do this is by starting a sponsor a pipe scheme. This allows us to say to individuals that your donation has actually contributed to this part of the organ being restored, and I think people like that sense of that they've helped a specific part rather than just a money to a big pit, if you see what I mean. One of the things we want to do going forward is to bring people to the church who might not necessarily come on a Sunday morning. So we're blessed with an organ that, because of its orchestral colours, it can play, for example, transcriptions, popular music, very well, very convincingly. We have a gorgeous architectural building here. We're blessed with a good acoustic as well. And the organ at the moment, because it's not very reliable, has sort of been pushed aside as a centrepiece. What we want to do is open this space up as have a concert series, invite visitors to come and play, bring people to All Saints to experience music played on the organ that they might not think of being played on the organ. This could include, for example, music heard at the proms. Things like the Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance #1 is a famous one that's been arranged for the organ. Various popular tunes that this was a trend that started around the turn of the century with town hall organs. Various town halls have huge organs built just like this one with all these orchestral colours, and that's something we want to bring back to All Saints. We're always looking to welcome new people to All Saints. Anyone who would like to come and see this glorious instrument and hear it, please do get in touch with us. Contact details are on our website and we'll post them along with this video. We feel that once you've experienced the power of this majestic instrument in the building, it can evoke a feeling that you may not have felt before. And if anyone wants to consider learning the organ, also do please get in touch and we can point you in the right direction. You may even find yourself playing here at All Saints.